I'm Spider-Man.
A new Spider-Man film is coming out, with a new villain and a new threat. And someone just leaked the plot of the Spider-Man film. Now, leaks happen all the time in the Marvel Universe. But this one is very different and very detailed. And if this leak turns out to be real, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely in for something explosive. The villain. The villain in this leak is the Jackal. If you're a fan of Spider-Man comics, you already know who the Jackal is. For everyone else, the Jackal is not some random street-level bad guy. He is a scientist. In fact, he's a geneticist. According to this leak, he was Peter Parker's college professor. Think about that for a moment. This is not some villain that Peter has to fight. This is someone that Peter actually knew. Someone he sat in a classroom with. Someone he probably looked up to. That kind of history makes the fight personal. It is not about punching the bad guy. It is about fighting someone you know. According to the leak, the Jackal is terrifying because of what he built. He developed a genetic virus. This virus, once it infects you, lets him take over your body. You are still there, but he is in control. And we are talking full possession. He can make you do whatever he wants. You become like a puppet. He holds the strings. That is a scary power set. Because it means that nobody around Peter is safe. Anyone he trusts could be compromised at any point. Anyone he loves could be used against him. He would not even know until it was too late. The Jackal is not working alone in this story. He needs help. He needs someone with power and resources. And that's where Tombstone comes in. The Hand and Tombstone. The Jackal cuts a deal with Tombstone. Through Tombstone, he gets access to something much bigger, the Hand. The Hand is a ninja organization. They have been in the Marvel Universe before in the Daredevil series. They are dangerous and organized. Getting control of the Hand means that the Jackal suddenly has an army. The Hand does not just follow anyone. They have beliefs and rituals. They follow power, specifically a certain kind of power. So the Jackal uses his possession ability to trick them. He makes them believe he is some kind of mystical beast, an ancient entity looking for a host body. He plays into what they want to believe and they fall for it. So the villain does not just use his strength to get what he wants. He uses the power of deception. He uses people's faith against them. That is a more interesting kind of threat. Now the Jackal has his virus, he has Tombstone, and now he has the Hand behind him. He is building towards something. Peter Parker is about to be right in the middle of it. Jean Grey. Now the story gets more interesting as we realize that Jean Grey is in this film. And her situation is quite messy and complicated. Her powers have just emerged. She is a mutant. In this version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, mutants are not understood. People do not know what they are. There is no school for mutants, no awareness, no community for her to fall back on. She is just a girl with abilities she can barely control in a world that does not have a framework for what she is yet. Because of that, she is running. She is not a villain, she is not a threat. She is simply scared. She is trying to figure out what is happening to her. She has nowhere to go. The Punisher ends up crossing paths with her, and instead of treating her like a target, he actually tries to help her. He takes her to someone at the Department of Damage Control, a guy named William Measer, because the hope is that they might be able to suppress her powers. Give her something that makes her feel normal again. Give her a way out of the chaos she is suddenly living in. Now think about what that says about Jean as a character going into this story. She is not here as a superhero. She is not swooping in to save the day. She comes in vulnerable and desperate. And that vulnerability is going to matter a lot by the time we get to the end. The fact that her powers are on the Department of Damage Control's radar is also interesting, because it means the government already knows mutants exist, at least on some level. They are not ignoring it. Instead, they are watching it. That detail connects to something much larger that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been quietly building. The Punisher and Daredevil. The Punisher and Daredevil are both involved in this story, and honestly, that actually does make a lot of sense. The Hand has a history with Daredevil, deep history. Matt Murdock has been fighting them for years, so when the Jackal starts consolidating power through the Hand, Daredevil is going to notice, and he is going to get pulled in. When Daredevil gets pulled in, the Punisher usually is not far behind. What is interesting here is that the Punisher briefly gets possessed by the Jackal. So for a portion of this film, Frank Castle is not in control of himself. That is genuinely alarming, because the Punisher without a conscience is already dangerous enough. The Punisher being used as a weapon by someone with no limits whatsoever is a completely different level of threat. Then it happens again with Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner gets possessed. The Jackal manages to infect Bruce Banner. For a moment, he takes control. Now think about what that means. The Hulk is one of the powerful beings on the planet. Someone just hijacked the wheel. That is not a Spider-Man problem anymore. That is an extinction-level situation. The leak does not go deep into how long this lasts or exactly how it gets resolved, but the fact that it happens at all tells you how serious the Jackal's threat level is. This is not a villain who is just causing problems in New York. This is someone capable of turning Earth's strongest defenders against each other, actually against everyone. It raises the stakes for Peter in a very specific way. Because if the Jackal can possess the Hulk, what happens when he gets to Peter? Peter gets exposed. Peter does get exposed to the virus, but something unexpected happens. Instead of being possessed and the Jackal taking over his body and actions, Peter mutates. His body reacts differently to the virus. Maybe it is his spider DNA, or maybe it is something entirely. But the possession does not work on him the way it works on everyone else. The Jackal cannot just slide in and take control. That becomes the key to everything, because now Peter is the one who can stop this. Not with his fists, not by swinging in and throwing punches, but because of what his body can do that no one else's can. The mutation that should have been a weakness becomes the one thing that gives them a shot at winning. This is a good storytelling structure. The hero's unique trait, the thing that makes him different, ends up being the thing needed to defeat the villain. It makes Peter feel essential to the resolution, rather than just the guy who happens to be there. The plan. So Peter and Jean put their heads together, and they come up with something bold. If the Jackal's power is possession, if his whole thing is jumping from body to body, then what if they turned that against him? What if they gave him somewhere to go, and then made sure he could never leave? The plan is to trap the Jackal's consciousness inside Peter's body, lure him in and lock the door. It is a trap. And it works, at least in the sense that the Jackal ends up exactly where they want him, stuck and contained inside Peter, unable to possess anyone and unable to build his army or use the hand or hurt anyone. Now Peter has a problem, a massive one in fact, because the Jackal is inside him and there is no clean way to remove him. The ending. This is the part people are going to talk about the most. Peter decides to let himself die, not because he gives up or because he is broken. But unfortunately, it is the only way to make sure the Jackal dies with him. If Peter lives, the Jackal lives. If the Jackal lives, this never ends. He will find a way out. He will find another host. He will start over again. So Peter makes the call. He chooses to sacrifice himself to end it permanently. Now that is a heavy ending. It is a dark place to take Peter Parker. It would affect people differently because of everything Peter Parker has already gone through. No Way Home already pushed Peter Parker to an extreme. He already gave up everything from his identity to his relationships to the life he built. And now he is being asked to give up the one thing he has left, his life. Whether you believe this leak or not, you have to admit that this ending would have an impact. It would hurt people. It would be the kind of moment people talk about for years. The post-credit scenes. There are two of them according to the leak. The first one involves the symbiote. There are no details on exactly what happens, but the symbiote being teased in a post-credits scene after a story. This dark makes a lot of sense. Peter Parker is gone. Something is left behind. Whatever that something is, it is about to become someone else's problem. The second one involves the Future Foundation, which, if you know your Marvel history, is a deal. The Future Foundation was originally built by Reed Richards. It is a think tank, a team of the brilliant minds in the universe coming together to solve problems that are too big for anyone else. Teasing that organization in a Spider-Man film would be a bridge into the Fantastic Four's world and into everything building toward Doomsday and Secret Wars. Both of those teasers, if real, suggest that this film is not a Spider-Man story. It is a domino, and it is setting up something much larger. What this all means, if this leak is accurate, Spider-Man, Brand New Day is not a safe film. It is not a fun, swinging through York crowd pleaser. It is dark. It is personal. It brings in mutants, the Hand, the Hulk, the Punisher, Daredevil. It ends with Peter Parker dying. And that is a risk. An enormous one, in fact. The Jackal as a villain works because he's not just powerful. He is also intimate. He knew Peter Parker. He studied the things Peter Parker studied. His power hits at something psychological. The idea that the people around you could be taken over, could be used against you, could look at you with eyes and want to destroy you, is terrifying. John Gray's introduction here is also carefully done if this is real. She is not shoved in as fan service. She has a role. She has a reason to be in this story. Her dynamic with Peter Parker, two people dealing with mutations they did not ask for, trying to survive in a world that does not fully understand them, is really compelling. The Daredevil and Punisher involvement ties directly to the Hand, which makes those inclusions feel earned rather than forced. Bruce Banner being possessed raises the threat level in a way that makes this feel like more than just a neighborhood-level story. Whether this ends up being real or not, the bones of this story are interesting. The Jackal is a villain the Marvel Cinematic Universe has not touched yet. He fits perfectly into where the universe is right now. The pieces make sense, the connections are there. If Peter Parker really does die at the end of Brand New Day, the Marvel Cinematic Universe will never be the same.